All right, good morning. It's Tuesday and still moving just a tad slow and not sleeping much, but man, we're on the mend. So, those of you who didn't know, we had a little wreck Friday. I think a lot of people know. Uh, Pretty significant kind of a crash. Two people running into us at high rates of speed, but Tammy went to the doctor yesterday, took her there yesterday afternoon, and she's got a hairline fracture on her rib, which I think we already knew that was going on, as do I. I have two or three of those. And so we're just old aches and pains type folk. We feel like we're old, but we're still moving, and not really slowing down much. But I am, little easy on the lifting arms and stuff like that. But man, so good to be able to wake up, open up the scriptures, let the Spirit of God just invade and flood my soul with the sunlight of grace and truth, and then to be able to turn around and kind of share it with you. It is the highlight of my day. This time right here. So thanks to those of you who show up that we can enjoy and enjoy this time together. So here we are. Now, man, this is by far the most significant story in all of the Gospels. It's the only story outside of the resurrection that's told by all four of the Gospels. And so kind of an amazing deal when you think about it in that terms. But a powerful story. So let me get the setting for you, and we're just going to wander into it. We are in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 6. Now, he had sent the disciples out, or the apostles rather, two by two. And he gave them authority to heal, to cast out demons, to preach repentance. And so that's what, and I think one of the gospel writers says, to raise the dead. So there's really several things going on here. So they've been sent out two by two. They're not taking anything with them. We looked at that a few weeks ago. Not taking them anything. They're not taking provision. They're trusting that the Lord's going to meet their needs. They're going to a house. If they're invited in, they stay. They use that as a home base to preach and to cast out demons and to do miracles and to raise the dead. If that city or that area or that home in which they were didn't receive it, they just kind of shook the dust off and moved on. Now, they've gathered back. This could have been, I'm assuming it was more than just a week, but a minimum a week, maybe a couple of months. We don't really know what all was going on. We just know that he sent them out. So they're coming back, and there's that little middle story of John the Baptist, which we looked at yesterday, being beheaded and all of that. And so now they've come back, and here's what the scripture says. It says the apostles gathered together with Jesus, and they reported to him all that they had done and taught. So now now it's kind of a regroup, and so they're assessing what took place. They go, man, here's what I taught, and here's what I saw, and you can anticipate the excitement of what was taking place. They're in the game now, so they're like, man, we saw somebody raised from the dead, and you weren't even there, Jesus, like in flesh, and we healed the sick, and we saw demons. They obeyed us, and so there's all of these things that are going on, and I love this about Jesus. He's the great provider, and so for them, he knew something that they needed, and I love the fact that he's anticipates that, and he says, "Come away by yourselves to a secluded place, and let's rest a little while." For there were many people coming and going, and they did not have time to even eat. And so they went away in the boat to a secluded place by themselves. Now, so that's the scene. There, he's like, "Hey, I'm mindful that you need rest." And we could really just talk today about that one concept, that they had no alone time. They needed to rest. They needed to refresh, and they needed to retreat. And listen, in this day and age, I mean, COVID has helped a lot of people do that by default. But there's still a group of people out there that just think the hustle is life, and they almost shame anybody who isn't working 8 days a week kind of thing. And this is what I know: we're more productive. Now, don't go too crazy with this, but you need rest. You need rest. You need You need to refresh yourself, not just sleep, but a refreshment. And you need to retreat. You need to move away from all of those who press in on you for needs from time to time. It's good for them. It's good for you. It's just good. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I just think it's mindful to understand that Jesus understood that. In a sense, he's giving us permission that when we've had a season of ministry or a season of hard work, that there should be a time in which we retreat, we rest, we refresh. We just allow our mind to slow down, to think about what happened. We allow our body to rest and recoup from the energy of ministry and work, and then we just refresh ourselves. That is, we just enjoy. We enjoy food. We enjoy activity. We just enjoy. So he does that. And then it says, now the scriptures tell us that he heads to Bethsaida. Now that's on the northeast side of the Sea of Galilee. He was really around that top area. So he's heading across there to Bethsaida. It's a little fishing village, that's where you would go to retreat. Now they weren't going to the village, but they were going to that area, and they were going to hang out by the sea, in the hillside, so to speak. And so when I think of fishing village, I always think of my favorite place, Key Calker, and it's a little fishing village in Belize. It's you can't even get cars on there hardly. It's just a little island that's turned into a really incredible place. But anyway, that's kind of what it is there. Now that is the hometown of Peter and Andrew. That's kind of where their fishing empire was, and Philip and Nathaniel. That's where they were raised. Now they eventually moved to other places, but anyway, that's where they were raised. So it's about a 4-mile journey by sea. So they just get in the boat and they're resting. All right. I mean, they could have walked, but the whole point was to rest. So let's just get in the boat, let the sail and the wind do its work, and let's just get across, because they're not in a hurry. But the people anticipate remember, it's the height of his ministry. And whatever's going on, we don't know what he did while the apostles were away. John says, if I recorded everything that Jesus did, the whole world couldn't contain the library of what I would share with you. So we're talking about an inexhaustible supply of work and everything else. So he could have done some incredible things that we don't know about in that season when the apostles were out doing their 2x2. But they're resting. So the whole people, the whole town, everybody knows what's going on. And so they we know where he's going. So they hustle around. So they run 8 miles around the lake to be there by the time he gets there. That's what it says. The people saw them going, verse 33, and many recognized him and ran there together on foot from all the cities and gathered ahead of them. So they're there. They're thinking, hey, I can't wait to just get away. I don't want to talk to a soul. I just want to rest. And as their boat sits and they can see the shoreline, and then they see all the people standing there, you think, oh man, I'm sure there's some complaining going on, except in the mind and heart of Jesus. Because what it says was, when Jesus went ashore, he saw a large crowd, and he felt compassion for them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. Now, I think it's Matthew that says he welcomed them. So he gets off the boat and goes, oh, man, I'm so glad you're here. Now, you think he's just playing games here? You think he's just being polite? I don't think so. I think that's exactly what he wanted. Obviously, he knew that. The point here, to me, is his provision of rest, and here is his provision of grace and invitation. He's always open to those who are hungry, and so he welcomes them, and he says he taught them. Matthew says he taught them many things. Here he says he sees them as like sheep without a shepherd. So there's this compassionate side of Jesus. He provides compassion. Listen, if you think nobody else in the world has a heart for you, nobody else cares about you, you and you alone, go out in the garden and eat worms. There's one soul, if there's not more, and there are usually always more. But if you truly are by yourself, understand the King of Kings is the God who sees you. He is compassionate. He knows how to be empathetic. He knows how to put himself where you are from your vantage point as you see life and massage you. That's really compassion. I mean, it's a vibrant word filled with those kind of things. And so he's compassionate for these people. And then he sees them as sheep without a shepherd. I think it's mindful that we always understand that about everybody that we minister to and that we work with, and we even ourselves can tend to be that way. Listen, sheep can't feed themselves. Just Psalm 23 really opens that up. But this phrase, sheep without shepherd, is used, prophets use that throughout the whole scriptures because they would see the people just really with no leadership, no direction. God provides incredible direction. If we listen to his spirit, he will always lead us to feed us spiritually and physically, to protect us, spiritually, to help clean us. This is what they couldn't do. When all the thorns and stuff got caught in the wool, they couldn't get it out themselves. Someone had to pull those things out. And so this is what the shepherd did. He fed them, he protected them, he cleaned them, he took them to shelter, he made sure they had good food, right? And because when they ate all the grass, they're just there like, oh, what do we do now? And they're just gonna stay there and die, so to speak. They couldn't understand the torrential rains that would come through these waters. And so if they're thinking, oh, I'm just going to go get some water, and the torrential rains began to happen, they're just caught up and thrown into it. So without a shepherd, they have nothing. This is how Jesus sees the world without Christ. This is how we should see the world without Christ. It's easy to get mad and angry at everybody for all the stupidity that's going on in this world right now, but they really are sheep without shepherds. And so just another deal. We're trying to get to the main story, but I can't help but stop and kind of camp out as we go through some of these issues. So he heals and he teaches them many things. Now, so he's given them physical rest, and he's going to give them spiritual rest as well. He's concerned about physical needs, but he's also concerned about spiritual needs. So he always works on those levels, as should we. There's always the physical needs to be met in order to sometimes give the spiritual lessons and message as well. Now, it says this, and it was already late, so it's been going on all day. He's teaching. They were thinking they were going to rest. They're tired. The journey was the trip that they were doing of the going out was exhausting. And it says when it was already late, his disciples came to him and said this, hey, this place is pretty secluded and it's already late. Send them away so that we may go into the surrounding countrysides and so that they may go into the surrounding countryside and villages and buy themselves something to eat. Now, here's another valuable lesson that I think we see here. Jesus' compassion is beginning to rub off on these apostles so that they look and they see and they anticipate those needs. Listen, for a lot of the journey in the course of this journey that they're on, the disciples are all kind of positioning themselves to who's the greatest, who's the best, and there's just this selfishness that's going on in that whole thing. But their hearts are turning. Once they began to do ministry and saw the needs of people, now there's an awakening. And so they look at these people and go, hey, these people are going to be hungry. We should probably send them away to eat. And so this is their need. I love the fact that the disciples now are beginning to show the same compassion, right? I think it was Luke that says a student, when he's fully taught, will be like his master. So who you hang around, it gets under their skin. That's what it means. To rub off, that's really the phrase that Luke used when he said that a student, when he's fully taught, will be like his master, meaning his master will have rubbed off on them. And so you can see that happening. And we should see that happening in our own life as well. But anyway, he says, so this is what I love about Jesus. He tells them, well, take care of it. They're going like, what? He said, he answered them, no. So they're thinking, hey, let's send everybody away. They got to go. They got to prepare the meal, so they got to go buy some food and find a little place to either go back home or they're going to have to build a fire and begin to, do whatever they do and those kind of things. And Jesus is like, nah, you take care of them. Now, there's so much about this. Jesus tells him to meet that need. He didn't tell him to pray about it. He just said, meet the need. Sometimes, right, our greatest deflect is, hey, well, let me pray about it. Now, if there's a need out there and you have it within your power to do so, the scripture says this in both the Old and the New Testament, that's what love does. If I have the power to meet that need, I should meet that need. I can't meet every need in the world, but I can meet those that are right in front of me. These are little pockets of truths that we learn just in reading in a narrative fashion, just these stories. So he uses this massive problem to teach his massive ability to provide. I love this. So he brings them into the ministry, and he's still doing that. So here's what they said. And so I think it's Philip. He doesn't say it here, but in the others it says, and they said to him, shall we go and spend 200 denarii on bread and give it to them to eat? That's kind of a joke. Like, really? I'm going to go run down to the city and, spend all this money and come back and try and feed all these people. And then Andrew comes back and he goes, well, I mean, I got a Happy Meal over here. I got a guy with a little kid with 5 crackers and a couple of fish. We're going to do that. And then the shock on his face when Jesus says, yeah, that'll do. That's like saying, hey, man, I got a Lifesaver and a couple of Skittles and I got a quarter. Let's go to Chuck E. Cheese, right? I mean, this is kind of how silly this thing is when you think about it in this enormous deal. So I want you to hear this outrageous statement that Jesus made, because they're looking at, according to every one of the writers, 5,000 people. They all agree, 5,000 men. They know that because they divided them up. But what is not said, which I think Matthew or Luke, I can't remember which one, says, not including the women and the children. So let's just keep it a 1-to-1 ratio, which it probably wasn't. If there was a man, there was probably a wife. And if there was a wife, then there were going to be kids. And there's probably more than one child apiece. But let's just say it's 15,000 people. Most would say it's anywhere from 20 to 25 based on all the, statistical things that you would do. I'm not that guy, but that's what's going on. So here Jesus takes charge. And so when they say, shall we go and spend 100 denarii, 38. But he said to them, how many loaves do you have? I said, how many did you have? Go look. And when they found out, they said, we have 5 and 2 fish. Really, that was only one little boy. So they all went out. Andrew's the only one that found somebody that had some food. Some mama had some sense, I guess, and said, son, you're going to get hungry. You're that kid, so here's some crackers and some fish. Basically, it's like sardines and crackers. I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about here. And it's not like, he had a string of fish. Like he had these are the kind that you would, like we have, that you would have kept somewhere, jar, whatever, that kind of thing. I don't know what they used, but whatever it was cured. They kept it. That's how it worked. So, he ordered them to all recline by groups in the grass, and they reclined in groups of hundreds and fifties. Now, this is God's provision of leadership. He takes charge here, and he just goes, okay, everybody, get in groups of hundreds, groups of 50s, scatter out so we can feed you guys. And so they're all scattered out. Now, if you do the math, let's say it's 15, each disciple had about 12 groups, if they were groups of hundreds and 50s, and let's just assume for our sake that's just an equal deal. So they've each got 12 groups of either hundreds or 50. Each disciple, apostle has 12 groups, or 6 groups of 50, 6 groups of 100. So they basically have about 1,500 people that they're feeding. Now, that's a rather large group. So just imagine, here you are, having assembled these people, and your call is to feed them, and there is like that many 1,500 people I'm looking at. And so we go up to Jesus and we go, okay, 1,500 people. That's like a large church. Just think about, one of the bigger church buildings or whatever, or one of the theaters at a college, where there's 1,500, and you're going, okay. So you turn your back and go, okay, Jesus, what's going to happen now? And so here's what it says. He took the 5 loaves, the 2 fish, looked up toward the heaven, he blessed it, and then he began to go, okay, here's yours, and here's yours, and here's yours. Crackers, 5 of them, 2 fish. They go and they hand it out. Now, I don't know what happens in there, but it's got to be growing in their hands or whatever they're carrying it with, because they keep coming back and keep giving more. 1,500 people. Each one of those apostles got enough of that 5 crackers and 2 sardines in order to feed. Can you imagine what's going on in their mind? Is that every time they come back and he's still got some, and they give it, and they all eat. And it says that they ate until they were stuffed. That's what it says. He gave the disciples again and set it before them, and he divided the 2 fish among them all. And they all ate, and they were satisfied. That is, that they had their fill. 20,000 people had their fill. And then it says they picked up. So he said, hey, let's go clean the trash up. Go collect all the leftovers. And I'm thinking, this is silly. So they get probably the bag that they carried, 12 baskets fulls that they brought back. And it says, and there were 5,000 men who ate the loaves, but we know there were more. It's just amazing to me, this story. This is an inexhaustible story, and I've kept you longer than I usually do. But it's just funny to me. Listen, I think each one of them kept that bag, and I know they're looking and thinking, "Man, we got enough for like another meal, just ourselves, right, in this basket." He is the great provider. If there's anything that this story teaches us, that he provides us with every good gift, all things. He met every need that group had in abundance. And so I just want us to be mindful of that. All right, kept you too long. Lord bless you. Have a great day. Lord willing, I'm going to see you tomorrow.